Hey there, graphic designers. Today we're going to take a look at layer adjustments, which is our way of playing with the color and the brightness and the darkness within the image. We can see that I already have my background layer created. I have my flower selected here. I'm in RGB mode, so I'm ready to start working. Our layer adjustments are located down here on the layers panel. It's right next to our layer mask. It's a little circle with the black and white. When I click on it, there are 4 different sections. The top section has to do with solid colors being added to the document. The second set has to do with the shadows and the brightness of the image. The third has to do with adding more overall colors to the document. And the last one is some more of like randomized type things that you can take and do. Now, on the website, I have a link that will take you deeper into each of these and give you a better explanation with tutorials if you want to learn more about them. This is just going to sort of cover how to use them and manipulate them right now. So we have our object selected, which means when we choose one of these, it's going to only affect our flower right here. So if I come over to hue and saturation, it's going to automatically make a new layer for me. We can see that the mask is on there. Remember that white is the part that's being affected, black is not being affected. And then we can see that it says hue and saturation right here, which is what the adjustment is. And it pops up our little palette where we can take and make our adjustments. So if I come up here to the hue, which is the overall color of the flower, and I begin to slide it, you can see that it starts to change. Now, I didn't do the greatest job around the outside making the selection here, but overall you can see what's going on here with the color and editing it. Our saturation has to do with the intensity of the color. So if I increase that saturation, we could see those purples get a little bit deeper. If I pull it all the way back, we start to pull that color out and we get more down to that black and white. Because it is a layer adjustment, we have the ability to take and come in here and hide the layer and go back to our basic normal image that we started with. With the masks, if you hold Control and you click on them, it'll bring up that selection of whatever you had on here. And that'll allow us to come back and do layer adjustments and try playing with something different. So if I wanted to come here to the levels and play with the darkness and the lightness, I can now do that. And then depending on how you slide these, it'll change the overall shadows and highlights throughout the image. Now, we can take and instead of affecting just that flower, if we apply a layer adjustment without having anything selected, it will take and affect the entire document. So if I do this black and white, it's going to pull all the color out of it and make it black and white. Now, because we do have masks on here, we can still take and have part of it be affected and have part of it not be affected. So it's white right now, so the entire document is being affected with that black and white, which is why we lost all the color. If I come in here with a black brush, I could start bringing some of that color back. Or if I take and change to a gradient right here and make sure I have a black and white gradient, and again, you got to make sure that you're clicked on the mask, we can take and have a change or transition in color. So you can see that we got our black over here, our white over here, so it's not being affected and then it starts to be affected. And whichever way you drag with that gradient, your mask will adjust with it and sort of change the colors throughout the document. If we want to take and, let's say we have our flower selected, but we want to take and do adjustment to the background, we could take and say select inverse. That will choose the background, and then we could come back in here, do our layer adjustments, and do that black and white, and now only that background is being selected. And now because they are layers, we can take and go back and forth and sort of see what we like, what we don't like. And let's say we like this hue and saturation here, but we don't really like the color. We know that if we click on the mask, we could adjust where it's being affected. But if we click on this little adjustment right here, it'll bring the hue and saturation back up, and we can edit it later on down the line as well. So it's a non-destructive way of taking and editing this document.